Hi. Hello. I'm live. They're building an audience for me.
There are.
Isn't that fun? This is cool. I should have like music on or something. I wonder if this is a better time for people. These first couple of minutes before people come is like so awkward. And I have a shiny forehead. Hey, Kath. Hi. How are you? Thanks for joining. Are you still in New York? Hi, honey. I was just saying how awkward these first couple of minutes are while we wait for people to join. It's just, awkward. I think that Cathy is beautiful too. So I hope other people join today. That'd be kind of cool. I was working today and a pop-up on my phone came up about the girl, I forget her name, but she's from My Big Fat Fabulous Life. Have you ever seen that show? And she was on for like 2 seconds and she had like 2,000 people like totally join in like 2 seconds. It was amazing to see. And she's, jamming to music and, in her car with the sunroof open, and it was really kind of cool. Hey, Corinne. Hey, Jenny. Thank you guys for joining. It's good to see you. Thank you. I love the hearts. Love you guys too. And here's my cousin Tammy. Hello. I hope you have the babies with you. Now, I got a couple questions in advance, so we're going to touch on those today, and I appreciate you sending those, so thank you. We're going to talk a little bit about Stevia. We're going to talk about savory snacks that are relatively low calorie. We're going to talk about empty calories, hidden calories, burning calories, and we're going to talk about when you go over calories, how do you handle that, or at least how I've handled that in the past. I hope you guys don't get blinded by my shiny forehead. Make sure you have some sunglasses. And we're just going to wait a couple more minutes to see who else joins. I have a couple of notes here. Well, hello, Ella. Ella is my little baby cousin who is just the cutest. I wish we could do FaceTime with everybody so everybody could see each other. That'd be awesome. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get started just for the sake of time because I don't want to keep you guys here all night, although it would be fun to chit-chat all night. I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk all night. Poor Jenny's listened to me talk most of the day. Jenny and I work together. So let's start with the first question. I'm going to put my glasses back on because I'm getting old. All right, so the first question came from Corinne. She wanted me to touch base on Stevia and what my thoughts are around Stevia and, is it good? Is it not good? And again, I'm just going to preface everything by saying I'm not an expert, right? I'm just a person and I don't have a medical degree. This is just my own personal opinion. I did do a little bit of research, and what's funny, Corinne, is that I actually planted a Stevia plant on my porch last summer, and I thought it was really cool because I had intended to use Stevia to sweeten some stuff at some point over the summer, and unfortunately my Stevia plant did not make it. It did not survive, I think, past 3 weeks because I don't have a green thumb, but the intent was there. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for joining. The point in me sharing that is that the difference between Stevia and some of the other low-calorie or no-calorie sweeteners is that Stevia is the only one that, is apart from Equal or from the one in the blue packet. There's the blue, the pink, and the yellow, and then there's Stevia. So there's sweet and low, there's equal, there's, I forget the one in the yellow, but anyway, stevia is plant-based, right? So it's a little bit more natural. It's a lot more natural. It's been around for about 1600 years. It's 200 times sweeter than sugar, and it's actually my preferred sweetener these days. There are some health benefits. There are some professionals that feel that if you consume stevia, it might lower blood pressure, but there's no definitive evidence to support that. And so the research is really controversial around that. There are some warnings, health warnings around stevia. If you consume too much of it and you're on certain medications, it may have an adverse effect. So if you're going to consume large quantities, so for example, if you're going to use it for baking and substitute of sugar, you may want to check with your healthcare provider if you are going to use that on a regular basis. I choose to use stevia as opposed to any of the other sweeteners only because, one, there's no calories. Two, I really have a sweet tooth and I like it. Like I said, it's 200 times sweeter than sugar. I think it's a little bit healthier because there's no preservatives, there's no additives, there's no chemicals in it. It's a natural plant. So that's my take on stevia. Any other questions, Corinne? I hope I answered your question on stevia and my take on it. Let me know what you think. And I'll just pause for a minute. All right, Corinne's good. She agrees with me. Thank you. Cool. All right, so let's talk about calories. I wrote a blog this week about calories to kind of clarify a couple of things that I had said in my live session last week. Last week I talked about the fact that I didn't give up a lot of foods, and that's the truth. I didn't, because I like to eat, and I didn't feel that I should have to sacrifice my favorite foods in order to lose weight. But there is a balance. There has to be a balance, right? You can't eat the foods that you love all the time and expect to lose the weight, because you have to be within a certain calorie range. And anybody who's known me for any length of time, and most of you have, know that there's nothing more enjoyable to me than enjoying a really nice meal and a glass of wine and some really good dessert and et cetera, et cetera. And you can't do that on an everyday basis. You can't even do that for me anymore weekly. But what I did do is I've been able to balance it out by counting the calories and tracking them. The key, and I mentioned this in the blog also, is that you have to be honest, okay? If you go above your calorie range and you don't enter it into your calorie app, the only person that you're cheating is yourself, okay? You know that you ate the food. You know that you probably went over your range, but you need to know how much so that you can actually learn from your experience. That's the purpose of tracking your calories. It's really to learn how to eat properly and eat healthy. Okay, so even now, after losing all the weight that I have, I still track my calories. As a matter of fact, I just had dinner. I'm still working, believe it or not, but Robbie is here and he brought me this dinner, and I'll show you what he did, right? So he went to the store, he picked up some chicken and a sweet potato, and he wrote down, I hope you can see this, chicken, 5 ounces, and a sweet potato that's 7 ounces, so that when I'm done with today's session, before I get back to work, I can actually put that into my app. And I know that so far today, I've consumed about 700 calories. I didn't have a chance to go to the gym today. Unfortunately, I had a talk this morning, and it was very early in the morning, so I didn't have a chance to exercise. I won't have a chance to go tonight because I'm working late, but I am going first thing tomorrow morning, and I'm going to have a really, really, really good workout. And yes, Cathy, that was cooked weight. So it's night, Tammy. It's good to see you too, honey. Love you. So, ultimately, about 5 ounces of chicken is probably about 150 calories, maybe 180 calories. I can't really remember. I think about 4 ounces is about 120 calories. So 5 ounces is a little bit more than that. And that's a good portion. I'm really full. I ate it very quickly. I was on the phone talking to a colleague while I was eating, but it was tasty. I'm not hungry anymore. And proteins are probably one of the best sources of food that's going to fill you up for longer periods of time. And they're also a great way to, it's a great food to eat after you exercise. I had a question sometime this week on my Facebook page about, best foods to eat after you exercise. One of my friends said that she's really hungry after she exercises. And my suggestion was to eat more protein and try to keep sugar foods out of the house. So my point here, try to stay honest with yourself and put everything in. There are days when I eat ice cream. There are days when I have cookies, and I track it. I put it into the app, and I know that those are days that I struggle a little bit more, and I balance it out. So if I know that I've had a stressful day and I eat because of my stress, and I try to avoid it and do other things, but there are days that I do it, or I'll grab a cookie for lunch, which I shouldn't do, but I'll do it anyway. I will track the cookie, it's 100 calories, and I will put that into my app, and I'll make sure that I compensate for that when I eat later in the day. It doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen even a smidgen as much as it used to, but it does happen every once in a while. And I think the most important message there is that everybody's human and nobody's perfect. And no matter how much weight you lose and how much hard you try, it's normal to go back to some of your old habits because we're emotional beings, and it's okay for us to do that every once in a while. We just have to remember to get back on track. Any questions about that? I'm getting old. I can't even see these comments. Okay, so protein bars such as Quest or higher end bars, yay, nay, or maybe. I love protein bars, and I'll tell you, Jenny, I don't go for the high-end bars. I buy my bars at Aldi. I think it's $5 a box, and they're phenomenal. There's about 10 grams of protein in them, and I use them. The ones that I eat are the peanut butter, I think. There's peanut butter, there's chocolate. They're about 150 calories, and I use them either between breakfast and lunch if I'm really hungry, or I'll take them to the gym with me on the weekends, and I'll eat them between classes. It's a wonderful way to help curb your appetite when you're really hungry. I don't necessarily use them as a meal replacement because it's not enough calories for me, but I think protein bars are a great supplement for a snack. Be careful though with protein bars because there are some that are incredibly high in calories. I found one at Trader Joe's recently that was 220 calories, and of course, it looked cool. The wrapper looked really cool. And so I bought it. It said it was made with eggs and cashews, and it looked very cool. And I didn't look at the calorie intake because I wasn't thinking. And when I got it home, I was hungry. I ate some of it in the car. And when I looked at the wrapper, I realized, you know what, I'm only going to eat half of it because if I eat the whole thing, that's actually almost an entire meal. So you can use it as a meal replacement if you're on the go. They're also wonderful to leave in your car. That's another tip that I wanted to share. Sometimes we have a tendency to eat unhealthy when we're on the go. I know when I travel for business or I even travel for pleasure, I always take a couple of protein bars with me and I throw them in my bag or I keep them in my car so that I have them. It decreases the probability of cheating. All right, I won't go for fast food. I won't go for things that I'm not supposed to eat if I have something readily available that's a healthier option. Hey, Katina, good to see you. So yes to the protein bars. As long as they're a good option, always check the calories, check the sugar, make sure that it's a high protein bar, not a high sugar, high fat bar. Okay. So let's talk for a minute about hidden calories. One of the coolest thing that I learned through this whole experience, there are a couple cool things. One, I didn't realize how many calories certain foods had until I really started paying attention and tracking them. You know, I would go out to eat and I would order a salad, and I didn't realize how many calories one of these salads actually had. I think I went to Chili's and the quesadilla salad had over 1,000 calories. When I actually thought about it, you know, 1,000 calories is almost the entire daily intake, which is incredible. So there are healthier options, and when you're cognizant about what your options can be and what the calories are, you make better choices, because if you know that you're somewhat restricted in terms of the number of calories you can have, you want to make the best option possible so you can eat and have a variety of options available to you. So watch out for hidden calories. I mentioned in my blog recently this week, I think, about Chick-fil-A sauce. And I'm not picking on Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. But, you know, that little packet of Chick-fil-A sauce is 140 calories. You know, that's the equivalent of, you know, 2 scrambled eggs. That's a lot of calories for just a little tiny sauce. So be cognizant of things like that and look it up. You know, you'll find me often if you ever go out to dinner with me, and it's, you know, it can get a little annoying sometimes, but I always look things up before I choose them from the menu, because I want to make sure that I'm making the healthiest choice for me. I'm not always choosing the option that's the lowest calorie. I'll choose the option that fits into my daily intake and what I want to eat. I don't ever feel deprived. I don't ever feel like I'm denying myself, right? But I always want to make sure that I'm making the healthiest choice for me. And so let's talk about denial for a minute, and let's talk about alcohol, because alcohol is wonderful and I've enjoyed it. I know, Jen, right? The Chick-fil-A sauce, totally love Chick-fil-A sauce, but I had to stop eating it because it was so fattening. I would eat one with my sandwich and then I think 1 or 2 with my French fries. And French fries, I don't eat French fries as often anymore. I did learn that 10 French fries, you know, the strip French fries, equate to about 100 calories. So if you have 5, it's about 50, kind of balance it out. If you want to pick a French fry here, I always wind up picking on Robbie's French fries. He's always willing to share his French fries with me, but I never order my own anymore. It's just not worth it to me. I think about how long I have to exercise to burn off those calories, and even though I love to exercise, it's just not worth it. So alcohol kind of falls into the same pattern, right? And a lot of you know me from way back when, and you know how much I enjoy it, or used to enjoy it, and I just came to the realization that it just wasn't worth it. You know, each glass of wine is about 100 calories. Bailey's a little, and I took notes here to talk about like calories for, you know, a thing, and we'll go into that in a little bit, but 2 ounces of Bailey's Irish Cream is 200 calories. 2 ounces, that's a lot of calories for a little bit of alcohol. So, you know, I'm not saying don't do it, but just fit it into your schedule, you know, your calorie schedule for the day. You know, it's not unusual, right? You know, to have a good time, you know, New Year's Eve parties, people who hang out with me on a regular basis, I'll have wine occasionally. You know, it's not that I'm not fun anymore. I have a lot of fun with or without the alcohol, but it just have to make better choices. All right. Hey, Nadia. Good to see you. Now, Nadia, this is very cool. Nadia and I work together, and Nadia is in India, and she's joining us from India today. So thank you so much for joining us. And Matthew, absolutely, your beer has 238 calories. That's a lot of calories. That's almost my breakfast, right? My breakfast usually about 300, 350 calories. So you have to balance that out. And you know, I remember back in college, we used to opt to drink rather than eat dinner. Those days are long gone, and I prefer these days to eat rather than drink. So you make your choices. All right. Now, empty calories is essentially what, you know, alcohol is, and, you know, you just decide what's best for you. Hey, Hannah. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. So I got another question from Jenny. Jenny sent me a note today at work, and she wanted to know what a savory snack was that's low in calories and low in carbs. And so I wanted to get some clarification on what she meant by savory. And she was looking for something that was a little spicy. So spicy is always good. I also like salty. And so I'm going to give you a couple of ideas that are really low in calories. Pickles. It's true, Matthew. You do have to live, and there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to fit it all into your schedule. You know, nobody wants you to to deny anything, because if you feel like you're denying yourself, then you're not going to be successful, right? So it just has to be a balance. That's the whole point of all of this. It's a learning experience, and it's all about balance. So if you want to go out and you want to have a good time, or you want to have a couple beers at home, that's fine. Just work it into your day. And there are going to be days when you're above your range, and there are going to be days when you're below your range. And that's okay. You know, when you fit your exercise into your schedule, then you get to eat a little bit more. So if you know you're going to have a couple beers at night, try to opt for a lower calorie beer if you can. Exercise a little bit more, and it'll help it'll help offset the calories for that. Hey, Eric. Hi, Lucia. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. You know, it's all about learning, you know, and that's the key to all of this calorie counting. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today, because it's the start of the beginning of all of this, right? It's a huge learning experience. It's all about creating habits. And it's about being conscious and about being mindful. And if you've read my stories and my blogs, you know, being mindful is being conscious of what you're eating and paying attention to it. And, you know, once you learn more and you're conscious of it, you can make better choices. You know, you can choose to have one beer, choose to have two beers, choose to have a piece of cake. You know, a couple weeks ago, they opened a new place here in town. It's called the Burger Batch. And they've got burgers and they've got milkshakes. And they had these milkshakes that had cotton candy and pieces of birthday cake on it. And my son was in from college, and we went out for his birthday. And we went, and you know what? I enjoyed myself, and I had, you know, some of the shake, and it was great, and it was wonderful, and I enjoyed it, and I built it into my calorie range, and I did not gain a pound because I worked around it, and I exercised, and I had a really good time. So it's doable, but it's all about learning about yourself and learning about what your limitations are and what you can and cannot do. So right now, if you're just starting out, you'll learn about it, and you'll learn about what, you know, what your body needs and how to do it. And you're going to make a lot of mistakes as you go along, and that's okay. I was talking to my friend Beth Ann recently, and you know, it's very easy to go off track, right? And the hardest part is getting back on track. And you have to continue to remind yourself that you can do this, right? Just because you eat a little bit more, let's say you eat, you know, the cookie, or you have the milkshake, or you know, have 5, you know, pieces of chocolate instead of one. It's not the end of the world. It's not, you know, the end of your diet or the end of your health plan. It just means that you had 5 pieces of chocolate. And drink a little water and have a salad for your next meal, or get up the next morning and you start all over again. You know, I recently posted that every day is day one, and it's the truth. You know, if you have a struggle with your weight, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. You're going to always have to be conscious about what you put in your mouth, because you know what? It's just who you are, and that's okay. Just be conscious of it, and know that every day that you get up, you have to think about what you're going to eat, and it's just part of life, and that's all right. It's true. It's not dieting. It is learning to eat healthier, and it is progress and not perfection. Perfect, Matthew. That's exactly right. You're absolutely right. Thank you for that. I don't know if I put this thing, there you go. Look at that. I'm learning how to do this. It's like my second time, so thank you. It's true. You know, in my talk this morning, I was talking about the local YMCA where I exercise, and how being part of that community has really helped me lose weight. We talked a lot about how it's not a diet, and that it is a lifestyle, and that it takes, you know, a long time to learn a new lifestyle. And how when I first started on this journey, I wasn't sure I could actually do it, because I had been on so many diets my whole life. I had tried everything, and I failed every single time. I lost weight, but then I gained it back because I never really learned how to eat properly, and I never really learned, you know, what my body needed. And so this time I decided to make a deal with myself, and I said, you know what, Gail, this time do it for 1 month and try to stick to it and just make better choices and eat what you want, but eat within a calorie range that makes sense, and just try it. And if you fail, then at least you know you tried, and you'll accept yourself for who you are, and just, try it. And I did. And so 1 month went to 2 months, and 2 months went to 3 months. And here I am all these months later, and I'm down 110 pounds, and I feel better than I've ever felt my entire life. So it's totally doable. And my philosophy is that if I can do it, anybody can do it, because truly, I struggled with my weight my entire life, and it took me until I was about 46 years old to make the decision to change. And once I made that decision, making the decision was harder than actually following through on it. Every day was a struggle at the beginning. Moving was hard, bending over and tying my shoes was hard, getting the courage to go to the gym when I was afraid that everybody was going to look at me was hard. But I did it, and every day I kept on going, and the weight kept coming off, and then the feeling, that came along with it was phenomenal. When I was able to get out of my size 20 pants and get into size 18s, and then to 16s, and then into 14s, and then into 12s, and now I'm into 10s. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. So, it's incredible. So you just have to stick with it. And you're right. It does seem harder. It does seem harder. And you know what? I feel it too. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'd like to be, but I'm not. And it's slow. I've got more to go, and it slows down significantly. So what I do is I up my cardio, and I up my weights, and I try different things. And there are days I go down and days that I don't. But that's okay. At least I know I'm trying. And that's what really matters, is just making the effort every single day. As long as you know that you're on the right track, and as long as you know that you're making the effort to go down in the right direction, then you're doing what it takes, and you will eventually get there. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Water is really critical. Make sure you're flushing your body. Make sure you're moving at least 30 minutes a day. If you're sitting all day long, you got to get up and move a little bit. You absolutely have to. It's really important. Okay. So let's get back to Jenny's question earlier about savory snacks, because savory snacks are awesome. And I remember, well, even now in today's world, when I have a craving for something, I go for pickles. Sounds a little weird, but they're very low in calories. They're a little high in sodium. So, if you're watching your salt intake, be careful. But I do like them because they are very crunchy, they're salty. I don't eat the whole jar. I have maybe 1 or 2, but you can get them spicy. So Jenny, that might be a really good option. You can do hot peppers. You can do hummus. That might be a little bit on the spicy side. That's like a good source of protein. You can try that with carrots or with celery. Pistachios are good. About 25 pistachios, I think, are about 100 or 200 calories. You may want to check on that. And then if you do a Google search, I actually did this really quickly earlier today, and you Google savory snacks that are under 100 calories, there is an entire list of snacks that are sweet and spicy that are great. So they had, I think there was a recipe called spicy scrambled eggs with sriracha. So there's, I think, some bananas with chocolate. There's some really good options. So there's a plethora of information on the web that you can always tap into if you're not really sure. Pinterest is a wonderful resource for recipes and things also. And I've used those as references as well. I still do every day. And Hannah, I would love to eat all the pickles, but then I'd gain 3 pounds, and it's just not worth it, so I don't. I just don't. That and sushi. I love sushi, but I find that every time I eat sushi, I gain 3 or 4 pounds because of the sodium in there. And I know even though it's temporary, I don't like to see the scale go up that much, so I don't eat sushi very often. So let's do this. Today, I wanted to, I was actually going to take you up into my kitchen, and we were going to play a little game, but I'm limited on time today, so we're not going to do that. Maybe we'll do that next time. I wanted to just show you how calories can be so deceiving. All right. I think about 200 calories and how much 200 calories can actually be. It doesn't sound like it's a lot, but it depends on what you're eating, right? 200 calories can be a multitude of things. And I posted something on my Healthy Momma Bee site. It should have posted about 7:30, right around the time that this started to go live. So if you have access and you can look at this while you're watching this, if you can look at the site, then it'll go through a couple of things. There are actually some really cool options for snacks that are 200 calories, but it shows you all the different varieties of foods that you can choose, and it compares. So for example, 200 calories is 3 whole eggs, or 1¼ hot dogs without a bun, just the hot dogs, or 20 ounces of broccoli, which is like a head and a half of broccoli. So that's a huge amount of broccoli. It's 1 ounce of butter, so a tiny little amount of butter. So you can see the variation in the amount of food that you can get for 200 calories when you make certain choices. So you can cook with 1 ounce of butter and saute your broccoli in it, and that's 400 calories. Or you can steam your broccoli and have a big hunk of broccoli, which is really high in a lot of wonderful nutrients. And have plenty of calories left for other things. So it's all about making conscious decisions. 200 calories is also a half of a Snickers bar. Okay, it's 5 ounces of pasta. It's a full plate of kiwi fruit. So if you like kiwi, you could have, like, I think it's 11½ ounces of kiwi, which is a lot of kiwi. It's almost a full plate. It's also a half of a burger. Okay. Okay, get this. This is amazing. 50 ounces, 50 ounces of celery. I mean, that's like 6 or 7 stalks of celery. Now, I don't know anybody who would want to eat 6 stalks of celery, but if you compare, right, that little bit of butter or a half a hamburger to celery, you can get a lot fuller eating the celery than you could eating the little pat of butter. So that's just my point in this lesson, is that 200 calories can go a long way when you're making certain food choices. And when you are tracking your food and you're looking at what foods have certain calories and you're making your decision to eat something, look at all your options. Right? Look at all your options, see what's out there. And like I said earlier, just, hey, Wendy. Hi, Karen. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's so good to see you. I'm talking about calories and talking about choices and how certain foods have more calories than others, as we know, but that it can be very deceiving, and how 200 calories can be a little pat of butter, 1 ounces of butter, or like 60 ounces or 50 ounces of celery. So it's just all about making healthier choices. So it's, it's about being conscious, being mindful, making healthier choices. Last time we were together, I talked a lot about, eating what you want. And I started off today by saying you can do that, but don't do it very often. I think I'd mentioned last week that I eat pizza, and I do. I love pizza. And, most of the time I'll have a slice, maybe 2, but no more than that. If I have a slice and I'm still hungry, I'll usually have a salad with it. If I'm starving, I'll have 2 slices of pizza, and I'll usually equate that into my daily calorie intake, because I know that I'm going to have pizza. I'm usually craving it in the morning, and I'll know that I'll have it during the day, and I'll have a light lunch instead. So it's all about balancing it out. And you're going to make choices that are maybe not the healthiest sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're human, and you're allowed to enjoy your life. So do enjoy your life. That's what it's about. Just get back on track when you can, and move. That you have to move, even though you hate it, even though you may not like it. You have got to get out, and you have to move every day. Wendy is at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. I saw her in spin class yesterday. Wendy, did you go to class this morning? I bet she did. I missed it. But she's in spin class, and I'm usually there too. But, you know, you have to move as often as you can. And it doesn't have to be spin and it doesn't have to be pump, but it needs to be something. You know, walk around your house, go up and down stairs. And Anne asked, you know, what's a healthy weight for somebody who's 70 years old? That you have to really ask your doctor. I'm not an expert in that. That I don't know, but, you know, talk to your doctor about that. And see what he says. You know, everybody's different. Everybody has different bodies, different needs. You know, you can put in your height and weight into any of these weight loss apps, and it'll tell you based on your height, your weight, your age, what your health, what your weight, you know, what they think your weight should be. In the app that I used, I told them what I wanted my weight to be. Now, whether that was realistic or not is another story, but that's what I put down. So, yeah. Well, I miss being there too, Wendy. I'm a little sluggish today because I didn't go, but I'll be back tomorrow. And so just, you know, make sure to move, make sure to take care of yourself, and, you know, watch and be conscious. You know, what I think is awesome is that nowadays there are so many choices that have calories listed, you know, many restaurants that have calories listed. And if you have an app that's downloaded on your phone, it's so portable these days that you can actually just look up the calories before you actually choose from the menu. Juliana, my daughter, and I went out the other night for dinner, and we love steak, so we went to Longhorn. And I wanted a 6-ounce steak. So I looked up the calorie intake for it, and I knew what it was going to be before I got to the restaurant. And I knew that I was going to have a salad and a sweet potato and my 6 ounces of steak. And I knew exactly what my range was going to be for dinner. And I managed that into my day. I had a lean cuisine for lunch, and I had, I think, like a yogurt or some eggs or something for breakfast, and a fruit or two, and that was my day. And I felt satisfied. We went to the movies. I had a little popcorn, and I was happy. And I never feel deprived. I think that's really important to know, is that I never feel deprived because I don't feel like I'm on a diet. I feel like I'm just every other person living my life, just making healthier choices. So that's my message for today. And, you know, I think I also wrote this week about like Starbucks, for example, right? I love Starbucks. I don't go as often as I used to anymore, but even when I do, you know, I love caramel macchiatos. Now I'll get, you know, a sugar-free, non-fat caramel macchiato. It takes me about 5 minutes to order it because it's such a modification to the regular menu, but it winds up being half the calories. So if I'm going to indulge in it, I'm going to indulge in it with modifications. You don't have to do that, but it takes it from being, I don't know, let's say 300 calories down to 120 calories. So I'm saving a lot of calories and something that I could actually eat later, which is what I benefit from. I like to eat, so I choose my calories wisely because it makes sense. And so I will make sure that this session is going to be uploaded to the Healthy Momma Bee website. And I do appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope that this time worked better for everybody. So thank you. And thanks, Valerie, for joining. I appreciate you being here. This is all new to me, so I'm trying to figure it out, and I hope that you find this helpful. I know that my hope here is that I can help other people achieve their weight loss goals. I know that it's not easy. I struggled with it my whole life, and like I mentioned earlier, I still struggle with it every day. Every day is day one, and it's going to be. So, you know, if there's anything that I can help you with, just, you know, I'm happy to do what I can. Reach out to me, and I'll let you know when we're going to have our next session. Are there any other questions or anything else that I can help you with? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye.